with us. All right, okay, good. Okay, tonight is the village board meeting of September 13th, 2021, and we're starting at 7:04 tonight. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance from Trustee Savage.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tonight we don't have a, please stand, continue standing. We don't have a pastor tonight, so I'll try and do my best. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life, the opportunity to serve the people of our village. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders of your people. Help us to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, Father, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and love. Amen. Notification of fire exits.
The emergency exits are located to the left and to the rear of the room. In the event of an alarm and emergency, please move in an orderly fashion to the exits and evacuate the building.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Hammerman.
Here.
Trustee Zamba.
Here.
Trustee Kasevich.
here.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak.
Here.
Mayor Peterson.
Here. First item tonight, approve village board meeting minutes from August 23rd, 2021.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make a motion to approve the village board meeting minutes of August 23rd, 2021.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next up is to accept the zoning board minutes from August 12th, 2021.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption to accept the zoning board minutes from August 12, 2021. Number 1, Thomas C. Agin Jr. for 2 variances on property located on 19 Barnabas Drive of Chapter 260 and 260-31L1. All pool structures must be situated behind the principal dwelling in the required rear yard. In Chapter 260 and 260-31L5, all pool pumps, filters, and heating equipment shall all be a minimum of 5 feet from any rear or exterior property line. Such equipment may encroach an exterior side yard if not housed within a building. Both variances granted. Number 2, Marvin Spates for a variance on property located 285 Claudette Court of Chapter 260 and 260-23B2, accessory uses and structure minimum building separation from principal building, 10 feet variance granted.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Next is approve the planning board minutes of September 2nd, 2021.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption to approve the planning board minutes of September 2nd, 2021. Number 1, Brian Zittel on behalf of Niagara City Brews for property located at 5175 Broadway, Unit 1, Depew, New York. They are requesting the following: seeking concept plan approval for an outdoor dining area. Recommendation to the village board to approve the concept plans with the following stipulations: clarify vehicle impact, lighting for the area, setback clarification from sidewalk and road, barrier due to alcohol content being served, as well as dining occupancy outside of no more greater than 26% of indoor dining occupancy.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote?
Trustee Hammerman.
Yes.
Trustee Zamba.
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak,
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes. Number 2?
Number 2, Dominic Corigliano, on behalf of Corigliano Holdings for property located at 5230, 5238, and 5246 Transit Road, Depew, New York. They are requesting the following. Rehearing from tabled November 5th, 2020 Planning Board meeting seeking final site plan approval for a proposed parking plan. Tabled pending submittal of architectural or engineered stamp drawings.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Hammernick,
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba,
Yes.
Trustee Gisevich,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak,
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes. Okay, tonight, you'll be able to address public comment on anything that's on the agenda until we get to the general public concerns and comment section. So tonight, the County Agricultural Department has asked us to read off this one public notice. It has to do with viable agricultural land being turned into an existing certified agricultural district. And we'll read that off as required. We have the, next up, is permission to advertise for a sidewalk bid. This would be on the west side of South Bellevue Avenue. That's in the town of Cheektowaga, Village of Depew, town of Cheektowaga. Authorize the administrator to advertise for a public hearing for no parking from here to the corner on Airview Terrace. We've done a number of these public hearings throughout the year and changed up a number of the parking restrictions on some of our streets. Permission for the court audit. Be it resolved. This is just a normal audit of the court finances for the fiscal year that ended May 31st, 2021. Number 5 is approve a seeker type 2 determination. That's something our attorney has had us do every time this year. In the past, we had not done that. Advertising a bid for the Broadway reclamation site for the required DEC cleanup at the creek level on the property that the village still continues to own. As has been stated earlier in the year, the first 15 acres up by Broadway has been sold to a solar company, and they're installing their solar farm. We are responsible for the property that's south of that up to the creek line. So we'll see how much that's going to cost. Hopefully, the money that we've achieved from the sale of the 15 acres will be a large portion of what it's going to cost to do that. Permission to award a bid for our tree inventory to Davy Resource Group. Not too many companies put in bids. In fact, just this one, correct, Erica?
That one.
Yep. Same thing happened in the Village of Lancaster. It's all part of being recognized as a Tree USA community as well. It's part of what we need to do. They'll be taking inventory of the village-owned trees, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Permission for the West End Auxiliary to hold a collection of for winter hats, gloves, and socks from September 1st through November 1st to be donated to the community. Who are we donating? Salvation Army, thank you. Next up is approve a bond resolution. Terry, this is the one with the additional 700 feet?
Yes, this is really just an amendment to a bond resolution that has already been passed, and it's for our capital projects with the sewer lines. This happens to be in a phase, what the board is looking to do, and this is recommended by the village engineer, is to take 700 feet of sewer lining that is in a different area than a phase that we are currently working in now. The fund we are currently, or the phase we are in now is already funded. It's already been sent, it's already been gone through everything. We had public hearing on it. We have short-term financing through EFC. We're taking 700 feet from a phase that is not yet funded and putting it into the phase that is funded because the area of that 700 feet is in dire need of repair. So it costs the village nothing. We're simply moving 700 feet into another phase. That's it.
Next up is to approve the Fall Festival that has been planned. Our Community Development Director, Andrew Adolph, is here tonight. He'll get up and talk about that. And we have permission for a conference for the Honorable Kathleen McDonald, our village justice, to attend, and that's up in Niagara Falls at the end of this month, September 27th through the 29th. Okay, right now we'll take anybody that has any comments on those items only. Approach the podium, state your name, and ask your question.
Hello, my name's Andrew Adolph. I'm the Community Development Director for Depew. I just wanted to touch on agenda item number 10, which is the Fall Festival. Since we met on August 9th and I brought the idea to the board initially, I have reached out and gauged interest from different participants, and there seems to be enough interest where we could move forward at this time with the Fall Festival for the third Saturday in October, which would be October 16th, right in Veterans Park, right in our own community. There seems to be vendors as well as music and different community organizations such as Western New York Superheroes, which visits charities and hospitals, and they'd be willing to come out as well. So there seems to be enough interest where we could create something nice for Depew where it wouldn't cost anyone any money, and we could run this and have a nice community event. So I bring you those information at this time and ask you to please consider it. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Any other questions on agenda items? Okay, there being none, we'll move to item number 1 tonight. Erica, if you could read that public notice.
Sure. Per New York State Agriculture and Markets Law, Section 303B, the Erie County Legislature designated September 1st through September 30th as the annual 30-day period during which landowners may submit requests to include predominantly viable agricultural land into existing certified agricultural district. Copies of the application form have been provided to municipal clerks, assessors, and chief elected officials for distribution to interested landowners. The application is also available on the DEP website at erie.gov/AG enrollment. The Erie County Department of Environment and Planning will accept applications from September 1st through September 30th. Any questions on this process should be directed to the Erie County Department of Environment and Planning. A public hearing will also be scheduled at a later date to consider all inclusion requests and recommendations of the Erie County Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board. You can contact Sarah Gotti, Senior Planner, Erie County Environment and Planning, 95 Franklin Street, 10th floor, Buffalo, New York, 14202 at 716-858-6014 or 858-7248 and email agriculture@erie.gov.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, permission to advertise for the sidewalk bid.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, the village administrator is hereby authorized to advertise for bids for the sidewalk improvement project. There will be one street in this bid, west side of South Bellevue Avenue. Date will be set once the bid package is completed.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Hammerman?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
That's carried.
Agenda item number 3, permission to advertise for a public hearing concerning parking.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following resolution and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, be it resolved, the village administrator is hereby authorized to advertise for a public hearing for a no parking sign hereto corner on the north side of Airview Terrace, just west of Transit Road, to take place on Monday, September 27th, 2021, 7 p.m. in council chambers.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item number 4, permission court financial statements to be audited.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, the Village of Depew court finances have been audited for the fiscal year ending May 31st, 2021.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Agenda item number 5, approve of the seeker type 2 determination.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas the Village of Depew is currently under an order of consent with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, New York State DEC, to address sanitary sewer overflows, SSOs, in the village's sanitary sewer collection system. And whereas the village completed a sanitary sewer evaluation survey, SSES, in sewer shed number 4 and sewer shed number 5 to identify potential corrective actions. And whereas the Village of Depew Board of Trustees is considering various improvements to correct sewer system defects and reduce inflow and infiltration. And whereas the Board of Trustees is seeking funding assistance under the New York State Clean Water State Revolving Fund and is therefore subject to environmental review obligations required to participate in the funding program. And whereas pursuant to Section 617.5, 617.5 C1, C2, 617.5 C6 under seeker, this project is a Type 2 action as it involves the maintenance, repair, and replacement in kind of existing sewer infrastructure with no substantial change to the existing sanitary sewer collection system. Now therefore, be it resolved that as a Type 2 action under seeker, the project has been found categorically to not have significant adverse impacts on the environment, and no further review under seeker is required.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Hammerman?
Yes.
Trustee Ziemba?
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
That's carried.
Agenda item number 6, permission to advertise for bid for the Broadway reclamation site.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas the Village of Depew is the owner of property known as the Old Reclamation Landfill Site located on Broadway Avenue, the landfill site is situated on the south side of Broadway Avenue and is generally bounded by Twin Village Recycling to the east and Cayuga Creek to the south. Sections of the creek embankment have experienced excessive erosion due to score during high-flow storm events and ice flows result in exposure of buried debris. Whereas the village is undertaking an embankment restoration project for the purpose of protecting and improving water quality in Cayuga Creek and providing other water resource benefits within the Cayuga Creek watershed. Whereas the village engineering firm GHD prepared detailed design plans and contract documents for completion of the Old Reclamation Landfill embankment restoration project. Now therefore be it resolved that the village board authorizes GHD to advertise the landfill embankment restoration project for purposes of soliciting public bids for the construction.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Hammernick?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. One moment. Trustee Ziemba?
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Agenda item number 7, approve the bid award for the tree inventory.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved that the bid for the tree inventory program from the bid closing on July 30th, 2021 be awarded to Davy Resource Group, 10 Mitchell Street, Sinclairville, New York, 14782. The program cost is not to exceed $36,000.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Hammernick?
Yes.
Trustee Ziemba?
Yes.
Trustee Kasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
That's carried.
Agenda item number 8, permission for the West End Fire Auxiliary.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, permission is hereby granted to the Depew West End Fire Department Auxiliary to place a collection bin within Village Hall to collect new winter hats, gloves, and warm socks from September 1st to November 1st for the less fortunate in our community. We will be happy to supply the bin to collect the donations.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item number 9. This is to approve the bond resolution, shortened version.
Yes.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. An amending and restating bond resolution dated September 13th, 2021 of the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Depew, Erie County, New York, the Village, amending the bond resolution that was adopted on March 22nd, 2021, and authorizing a sewer system capital improvements project, Phase 5, as supplemented in response to New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Order on consent number R9-201-401-28-1 at an estimated maximum cost of $2,913,000 and authorizing issuance of serial bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2,913,000 of the village pursuant to the local finance law to finance said purpose. Said amount to be offset by any federal, state, county, and/or local funds received, and delegating the power to issue bond application notes in anticipation of the sale of such bonds to the village treasurer. Whereas, on March 22nd, 2021, the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Depew, Erie County, New York, the Village, adopted a certain bond resolution, the original bond resolution entitled, a bond resolution dated March 22, 2021 of the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Depew, Erie County, New York, the Village, authorizing a sewer system capital improvements project, Phase 5, in response to New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Order on consent number R9-201-401-28-1 at an estimated maximum cost of $2,913,000, and authorizing the issuance of serial bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2,913,000 pursuant to the local finance law to finance such purpose, such amount to be offset by any federal, state, county, and/or local funds received, and delegating the power to issue bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the sale of such bonds to the village treasurer. It goes on for 3 more pages, so copies are available on request.
Need a roll call vote, please?
I need to second the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second the motion?
Thank you. Now I need a roll call.
Trustee Hammernick,
Yes.
Trustee Ziemba,
Yes.
Trustee Savage,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak,
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes,
That's carried.
thank you.
Good job, Audrey.
Agenda item number 10, approve the Fall Festival.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, permission is hereby granted to hold the Depew Fall Fest in the Village of Depew Veterans Park on Saturday, October 16th from 10 to 8 p.m., with portions of Terrace Boulevard blocked off for the event. Music. Various performers will play throughout the park throughout the day. Activities, including contests, exercise activities, and family-friendly movie with additional details to follow at an upcoming meeting. Food and vendors. There will be a variety of food trucks and local craft vendors on hand with additional details to follow at an upcoming meeting. Permission is also granted for use of electric power and of restrooms at Southside Fire Station.
I second that motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Hammernick,
Yes.
Trustee Ziemba,
Yes.
Trustee Savage,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak,
Yes.
Mayor Peterson.
Yes.
That's carried.
Agenda item number 11, permission for our village justice to attend a conference.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, permission is hereby granted to the Honorable Kathleen M. McDonald, Depew Village Justice, to attend the New York State Magistrates Association Conference held at the Sheridan at the Falls, 300 3rd Street, Niagara Falls, New York, 14303, from September 27th to the 29th, 2021. The cost of the conference is $100, and the use of the village vehicle is authorized.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. Number 12 is department head reports for the building department, August 2021.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make a motion that we accept the building report from August 2021.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. There was one employment application received during the last couple of weeks from the DPW, Brendan Bruce. There's no unfinished or other business. Before we get to public comments, we'll let our guests speak first. I have Bob Brandon from Senator Tim Kennedy's office. Why don't you come up and this way you get your face on the YouTube channel. Well, right over here on the microphone. Right. No, because we have a camera that's going to face right to you.
Yeah, on September 1st, Governor Hochul, and I say Governor Hochul now, we have our first female governor, called the legislature to special section for COVID-19 matters. Normally the session doesn't begin until January 1st, but there was a reason, three reasons that you called this special session. One was regarding the ending of the moratorium on evictions. The moratorium ended August 31st. The governor felt that this needed to be extended to January 15th because there's emergency relief funds that were available. There was $2.7 billion, and only $200 million was actually spent, like 7%. And part of the reason was, people didn't know about it, but more importantly, the application had to be done online. And they had all kinds of problems with the software. People got knocked off it. They had it half done, and they had to come back to it, and they lost everything. So they had all kinds of problems with that. So because of that, the governors felt that they should extend the deadline to give people a chance for the grant. This grant enables renters. They have to have a hardship declaration saying that because of COVID, they either lost their job or had reduced earnings and they couldn't pay for their rent. So, that's one reason why it is extended. There was a court case also for landlords saying that they didn't have a chance to oppose this declaration to need. So the court case was won by the landlords. So now the landlords will have the opportunity to oppose, the renter saying they actually did have offer a hardship or not. So this has been extended to the 15th of January and was passed by the legislature. Another bill passed was extending the public meetings law. They allowed the government bodies to hold remote meetings instead of in person till January 15th. Governor felt that the COVID pandemic is still going on, and there should be some opportunity for government bodies to have just remote meetings until the 15th of January, and that did pass. And a third item that they did during this special session was the governor was appointed a chair of the Cannabis Control Board. This control board will make the rules and regulations for regulating marijuana. They can regulate who's going to grow it, how they grow it, who's going to distribute it, and sales of marijuana. So up to this point, they had no executive director, which had to be appointed by the governor and seconded or by the legislature. So that board now has a chairman, and I believe they have 5 members already. So they should be able to start their work. Another thing, Senator Kennedy marched in the Labor Day parade. Senator is a very strong supporter of labor and labor unions, so he did want to show support by marching in the parade in South Buffalo. Prior to the parade, the governor signed several bills that had to do with the labor, and one bill was Senator Kennedy's bill, which implemented speed cameras in construction zones. There are a lot of, you go by construction areas, and there's always a speed zone sign, and a lot of people really do not follow it. So, and a lot of people have been hurt, so now there will be speed cameras in construction sites. Last thing I want to mention is the all state employees now must be vaccinated or show proof of testing. Our office has been doing this for quite a while. We've been advocating this, So anybody coming to our office has to have a mask, and employees in our office, when we're at the desk, when we're in the office, we had to wear a mask except for at our desk. So it's getting to a point where something had to be done. So state employees now must be vaccinated or show proof of testing. Okay?
Good. Thank you, Rob.
Questions? Thank you.
Liz Worth from Monica Wallace's office.
Good evening, Mayor and everyone. Sorry, I'm not used to this. This is different. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elizabeth Brinkworth. I'm with New York State Assembly Member Monica Wallace's office. I'm her Director of Community Affairs, so I go to events like this. Today, the Assembly Member toured the ARC Erie County Preschool in Cheektowaga. This past session, the member helped the ARC school by sponsoring critical legislation that helped authorize the Dormitory Authority to provide special financing to the New York State ARC Center, specifically its chapter in Erie County. This bill was signed into law of July this year, and this crucial legislation allowed the school to finance critical renovations to accommodate children with special needs, like renovations to bathrooms and classrooms so aides could be accommodating and children of all abilities could still do things that they want to do. The Assembly member had also announced $17,500 in state funding she was able to allocate to the Cheektowaga Police Department to help fund a substance abuse screening program that's used by the police department to screen individuals for potential substance abuse, addiction, and use them to essentially help them, connect them with services that can help them then and there, partner them with a social worker so they can begin treatment and recovery. The Assembly member also attended a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Cheektowaga Boys and Girls Club. She was really influential in helping getting state funds to help that get started. So we're very excited to see it open this fall. The Assembly member had also recently announced, with the help of the Depew Police Department, the body camera. She was very excited to see them working and in action as she helped to get $120,000 in state funding. And lastly, if anyone's having any issues on the state level, I know luckily the Easy Pass issues seem to be dying down a bit, so Easy Pass and the Thruway Authority are working on those issues. Unemployment as well, that has declined, but anyone who's having issues with retroactive payments, but any other state resources we can help with, we definitely will. So thank you so much for your time.
Very good. Thank you. All right, we'll quickly go down through our ranks here. We have Recreation Director Kevin Ferguson.
We just finished up our co-ed softball league last week as far as lacrosse too, that ended last week. Still going on in the park, we have yoga, volleyball. And on Saturday, we have a co-ed kickball league that's starting up Saturday afternoon. The rink opened up on Sunday. Everything is in very good working order. Compressors are good. Zambonis are working good. And the rink is going seven days a week. We're in the midst right now of looking for another full-time laborer. So we're interviewing for that. And next month, we got Learn to Skate and Open Skate that will be starting.
Thank you. Tony Fishone from Code Enforcement.
Yeah, just basically for the month of August, we did 68 permits, 48 construction inspections, 42 sewer inspections, issued 25 sewer certificates of compliance, 3 certificates of occupancy, fielded 19 complaints and issued 25 violations.
Okay. Captain Norick filling in for Chief Miller from PD.
The August monthly report for the police department, we had 111 criminal complaints, 969 non-criminal complaints for a total of 1,080 complaints. We had 25 property damage accidents, 4 injury accidents. 22 males were arrested, 12 female arrests, 8 parking tickets were issued, and 209 traffic summonses were issued. We have a Governor's Traffic Safety Committee grant. It's a school zone grant detail that's being conducted right now till the end of the month. We have a speed sign that was moved from Ream Road over to Main Street due to complaints of speeding. And we continue working on the body-worn camera policy and procedures and training the officers in their use. We're looking to get them online by October 1st. That's it.
Thank you. Over to Fire Chief Todd Rozutek.
Good evening, everyone. The fire department, our current roster is 118 firefighters, and we currently have 6 junior firefighters. Our September 2021 calls to date are 11, and year-to-date calls are 217. Our year-to-date structure damages went up a bit after a small fire on Panora, and it's at $370,000. Our firefighters continue to work hard, day in and day out, responding to calls and dedicating their time to training. The fire department continues to remain ready for any emergency we are called to, and will continue to respond with professionalism on every run. I want to offer my sincerest gratitude to my firefighters for their continued dedication to the Village of Depew and the residents we serve. Also on Saturday, September 11th, 2021, the Depew Fire Department held our annual department inspection. At that time, we recognized several members with extensive years of service dedicated to our department and the Village of Depew. I would like to recognize the following firefighters for their tremendous years of volunteer service to the Depew Fire Department and the Village of Depew. Some of them are here with us today. Assistant Chief Brian Muslak, 25 years. Assistant Chief John Gauthier, 25 years. Firefighter Martin Lebedzinski, 25 years. Firefighter Donald Wex Jr., 25 years. Firefighter Henry Casala Jr., 30 years. Firefighter Paul Walter, 35 years. Firefighter Tim Rogacki, 35 years. Firefighter John Kojal, 45 years. Firefighter James Newsall, 50 years. Firefighter John Garbage Jr., 50 years. It was a great pleasure to congratulate a gentleman that is here today, also a retired police officer with the Village of Depew, Firefighter Robert Broach Sr., with 60 years of volunteer service to this village and the Depew Fire Department.
He joined in 1961. Boy.
That was negative 21. Real quick, in addition to our last department inspection, the firefighters of the Depew Fire Department had dedicated an enormous amount of training hours to perfect their craft. Firefighters put in 4,732 hours of training since our last inspection. This includes training done during the heart of the COVID-19 pandemic. Even a pandemic couldn't stop our personnel from working on their skills for the protection of life and property in the village. I commend my entire department for their continued dedication to uphold their oath to be there at a moment's notice for anyone in their time of need. Especially during the pandemic, our members put their personal safety aside, left their families day in and day out, and answered every emergency call that with the utmost professionalism and efficiency that any fire chief could ask for. And it was all done by volunteers, with no expectation of reward or payment for their sacrifice. The firefighters of the Depew Fire Department do this because we took an oath and swore to protect this village and its residents in their time of need. No questions asked. That's all I have, sir.
Chief. And our electric department, George Del Conte.
It's going to be hard to follow that.
Boring, getting boring over here real quick.
Completed projects by my department since the last board meeting is working with the police department and Siemens to work on cameras on Main Street. We pulled in computer lines and power lines for the new camera system in the council chambers. We wired the seniors' new dishwasher for use, working at the DPW to run computer lines for Wi-Fi in the office and the shop, and work with the mechanics on a remodel project of their corner. Removed the summer banners from Terrace Boulevard for the season. Worked on the George Urban Low Bridge warning system to get an accurate height dimension and raise the sensors to 12'8". And we ran some computer lines at the police station. In the works currently for us, all the parts are in for the horn. The horn building, the compressor and air system has been completely rebuilt. All the parts are in. They'll be functioning Saturday. I will give you a call. We'll do a test on that.
Thank you.
After that's done, we'll turn our attention to the sirens. 2 of the 4 are not working. We'll get those back up and running. Getting in touch with a company, one of my vendors, to remove the old tennis court light poles, which have been stripped, to make way for new ones in the future. And that's it.
Thank you, George. Ken Pick from Department of Public Works.
We finished up our paving for the year. We worked with the town of Lancaster, Village of Lancaster, and we in turn helped them out when they needed it. West Dawson Playground was delivered. Work will shortly begin on that project. Some leaves are falling early. Please don't rake them into the street. Keep them on the lawns. We already had some issues with some sewer grates backing up. And we planted a tree in Fireman's Park, and we're gonna get together with George to get it wired for tree lightings. That's all I have.
Okay. Up here, Sam with legal.
Sure. So as I mentioned in the pre-meeting, we have ongoing FOIL litigation, and a proposed order was submitted to the court from the other side that I think didn't reflect the decision, so our lawyer is going to oppose that. We're still working on the small animal law. Code gave us some constructive criticism and some comments we're going to work in, and hopefully we'll have that circulating next meeting. We're going to start getting our notices of appearance in on property tax challenges, which by surprise this year required the village to pay out a property tax refund. We want to make sure that we appear to object to those in the future. And that's really the only reason I'll be appearing in those cases. And then it's good to see the solar project coming to fruition finally and out for bid. That's been a long process of the DEC kind of bearing down on the village, and a great solution. We sold the upper parcel of that old reclamation landfill site, which can't really be developed, to a solar company. It's one of the only entities that can develop it. We're going to use the money from that to do the remediation down by the creek that the DEC is requiring us to do. And it's a local company that's putting in the solar field. So it's a very good project. Glad to see it come to fruition.
Thank you,
Good for
Sam.
me.
Yep. We'll start on the other side here. Trustee Ziemba.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Hammerneck.
Yes, I would just like to say something. Good evening. First of all, I would like to say that from the last 2 weeks ago meeting, I am not against the revitalization of Fireman's Park. Much needed improvements. I have received letters, nasty phone calls, and public trashing on Facebook. I was elected by the residents to make my best judgment on their behalf. We did receive American Rescue funds, not a grant, to be used by the village to help with the needs of the departments and infrastructure. With no strong guidelines on how to use the funds and how it can be divided, we have to seek out where the money can be used for the village. Currently, we have a police dispatch office that has outgrown its area. With more monitors continuously being added, there is no more room. The room needs a ventilation system. Because of the heat being thrown from all the monitors, there's a solution for that, just by removing a few walls that are not load-bearing, bringing the room back to its original size years ago, and moving the lockers out to another area. We have property tax refund cases coming in steadily that will have to be paid. Where are all of these non-budgeted 2021 expenses going to be paid from? We just paid out a $229,000 reassessment that we had not budgeted for. Yes, I agree Fireman's Park needs to be updated, but we first must look at the department needs not once, or if all money is spent and there is a shortfall, I do not want to raise taxes to balance a budget because we didn't plan accordingly. Our residents cannot withstand a tax increase. We as a board need to sit down and carefully decide what is best for our residents. Thank you.
On the other side, Trustee Kasevich.
Well, I'm glad the fire department's here because I was going to bring you up. So I wanted to thank the fire department for inviting me to attend your annual inspection. I truly appreciate all your hard work to our village. It means the world to me, so thank you guys.
Sorry it was so long.
I'm still recuperating. I can't stand that long.
Deputy Mayor Stepniak.
Yeah, I also want to say, Todd, you did, or Chief Zutek, sorry, you did a great job of organizing everything. It was great to hear all the hours of training, years of dedication that you guys give the village. I mean, it's truly amazing. This is my second one, would be my third, but because of COVID. And I find it just really inspiring to hear all the work you guys do, so I want to give you a thank you. I do want to address Trustee Hammernick's statement, though. So in relation to the American CARES Act, there are actually strict guidelines for what it can be used for. Some of that actually is related to parks. So I did actually pull up the interim rule, and it specifically says that many governments saw significant increased use of parks during the pandemic, but we've seen an increase in this park really, I mean, honestly, Kevin, you can attest, like in the past 3-4 years, we've had more tournaments, more teams playing, and the fact that it's been neglected for administrations prior. So the pandemic resulted in damage or increased maintenance needs. So the funds can actually be used towards that, which is what the mayor and I thought would be beneficial. I mean, this park has been neglected for years, 30 plus years. I mean, it's sad that there's no parkway, there's no pathways for those that are not able-bodied to walk on. It's sad that that's a representation of our village that people from neighboring towns come in to see, and it's sad that that's a representation of our fire department. That we have this shed that's patched, bathrooms that you pee on a wall, and the fact that our infrastructure is just deteriorating and second to none. I mean, I'm not second to none, it's just despicable in layman's terms. It's just despicable. I mean, I walk there pretty much daily, and you know, pushing a stroller is a pain in the butt. Riding a bike you can't do. God forbid you're in a wheelchair or have a kid who's in a wheelchair who would like to enjoy the park, because that's not possible either. So I think that that would be why I find that to be the best use of money. You know, it benefits all residents, and not just all the residents, but it's also for those who come. It's a really just a representation of Depew. I mean, you come to our park now and it's sad, very sad. You can't play tennis because the courts are horrible. Our playground equipment is falling apart, been painted, I can't tell you how many times to make it look okay, but it's been ignored for way too long, and I think that this is, I would love to just see something happen. So that's where I strongly feel the funds should go. And also with the police dispatch. There is a grant through New York State, the CDBG CARES Act, which would allow us to use those funds to increase rooms in Village Hall for COVID needs. So we're going to explore that option to see if we can get some of that money to increase the dispatch room and provide better ventilation.
So at this point, we can open up the floor to public comment on any of the items discussed tonight or anything else that's on your mind. Just come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Two Hoffmans here. Okay, you've only got one N, so you go first.
Thanks. First of all, Audrey, thank you for that check. First thing I've ever won.
I know, thank you.
Mayor, just real quick on tag off Trustee Stepniak. I'm here for the park. What's the ballpark money that we could have allocated for that?
The initial estimates for the pavilion and bathroom came in at $648,000. This was during COVID. And our architect engineers, T. Donato, who was ironically the same group that you used when you presented this back in 11 or 12, something like that.
So 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Correct.
So when we ask for updates on cost, it's very difficult to get a hard number, but they just generally put 20% on it, so it takes us into the high 700s.
Okay.
For the two, it's a 30 by 100-foot building, two 10-foot eaves on either side for a covered sheltered area, and the two shelters with the roll-up glass garage doors and the new bathrooms.
Great. Great. The figure we had in 2011-12 was somewhere between 1 and 3 million. So that's a hell of a price.
We took that because yours was beautiful. It was more like a Westwood structure. So
Yeah,
we
correct.
looked at what we can do on the cheap, but it's functional. So this was really like more of like a bare bones model, but offers 2 rental spaces year round now and bathroom facilities. So we really looked at like what's the best bang for our buck. And to answer your questions, I think you asked how much funding we're getting actually, or is that what your question?
Funding that's able to use for the park.
Terry, 7 something?
766 is what's in the bank from our first tranche of the money. Next July, we get the other half of that.
Okay.
So, to your point, actually, I think when I researched it, your program came almost to $4 million if you did everything in it.
That was top notch.
We took,
It was nice.
Erica and I, when we first were working on this in 2019, we wanted to put it into phases. The first phase was the pavilion and the bathrooms. Second phase would be the
Walkways,
walkways.
lighting, updated grounds flooring for basketball courts, tennis courts, because we know those tennis courts aren't used because they're just falling apart. There's no lighting.
Right.
There's not enough benches, not enough shade. I mean, list can go on and on.
So
you know?
there's-
I agree with you. I
So-
agree with the entire what you said. And it sounds like we have board opposition on some of these, on this project, which is to me a shame. Has anybody been down to the park lately? Has anybody been in the bathrooms? Trustee Zimba, you've been down there?
I'll let you speak.
Have you walked through?
I'll let you speak, go ahead, but I'm
Yes,
sorry,
yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry that you feel it's a shame, okay? I have an obligation to every resident.
I agree.
Sorry that you
I
feel
agree.
it's a shame.
Now, in 1964, when my family first moved here, I used that complete facility down there. And if you were going to Fireman's Park as a kid, you were going somewhere. It was an event to look forward to. We'd ride our bikes from the top of the hill down to Fireman's Park, up until probably 12, 13 years old. It's deplorable. If we sent the building inspector through, he'd probably put a demolish order on. You have uneven concrete in the facility.
Don't do that, Tony.
The bathrooms reek. I wouldn't put my grandkids in there, or I wouldn't expect anybody else to use it. The residents I've spoken to over the years is they don't even know Fireman's Park exists, and the ones that do feel it's inaccessible as far as using it. Like you said, pushing a baby carriage, walking kids through. There's trip hazards through there. We have a gem. We have a golden gem in the village of Depew named Fireman's Park, and it's deservedly named Fireman's Park. It's a hell of a facility. People think our big gem is Veterans Park, which you guys have done a great job on. To tag off of Terry Wakowiak, dire need of repair at no cost to the village. Great words. I couldn't have said it better. This board of trustees and the mayor, you have a great chance to put your fingerprints on a facility that'll be used way past we're gone. And I implore you guys, please, put the money into it, let the residents enjoy it, and let's move forward. And let's try to all get along up here. You work for the village, you work for the taxpayers. Let's try to make it happen. Thank you.
Oh, Steve, can I ask a question? Sorry. So you are a mayor, right? When you make $1 million decision, does your board meet beforehand and discuss it? $1 million decision that's going to affect 4,625 families, that if you don't discuss it, how could that impact them?
In all due respect, Trustee Kasevich,
Did we meet on it?
we did not meet. We
We did not
socialized
have $1
it.
million decision for our residents, and we just said, vote yes.
We socialized it, and we did not get any questions or issues raised.
But you're presenting it to us.
Jack, answer your
It's $1
question.
million.
The way we did it, if it was a taxpayer funded, we would definitely have talked.
So, but get this.
Numerous
So,
times about it.
this packet that I have says 840,000, right? We're saying it's 700 something now. Well, we got 760. This number is bigger than that. So where's the extra money coming from? I need these answers before I just make a
Okay,
decision.
well, right now, that's not my problem. In 2011 to 15, it was.
Yeah, no.
That's
Yeah.
up to you guys to come together. Stop the arguing like every board has done in this village since I can remember, since 1981 when I got on the police department. There's always been bickering, there's been fighting, and projects get put on hold and not completed because of exactly what's going on here right now. You guys need to come together. I don't care how you do it. It's not my problem. It's up to
No.
you guys.
That's why I was just curious how, for me, $1 million decision is something that I think as a team we do. We need to sit down and discuss it. And if we are going to be a team up here, we have to have open communication and discuss things before we just put it on an agenda to vote on.
Well, that's up to you guys to make it happen.
Correct. No, I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another Steve Hoffman.
Stephen Hoffman, 31 Ridgeway Street, Depew, New York. Steve, thank you. You led most of what I wanted to say. I want to start by saying, I left last month's August meeting rather disappointed. I then read the article in the Bee and was further disappointed. That drove a meeting with Mayor Peterson and Deputy Mayor Stepnick at Fireman's Park. We reviewed the UB study in detail. We also reviewed the project. the scope of the project, and every line item. Yes, there's some items in there that are high, there's some items in there that should change, but we reviewed those. Through our conversations, I had a little history lesson. Fireman's Park, the land was purchased in 1950. Veterans, or the VFW post? Yes. VFW post 463, about 4 blocks from here, urged the village to name the park Fireman's Park. Kevin then went on to further remind me of the monument that represents these folks that stands there. That monument was unveiled September 12th, 1970. 41 years and a day today. It stands for something. After our conversation, I left there and I grew up on North Bryant Street, 3 streets from Fireman's Park, spent countless days, hours there. So I left there questioning what is truly the meaning of the name Fireman's Park. So I visited the park on a number of occasions, and just the other day came up with my answer. I stood in front of the monument and I realized what that represents. It doesn't just represent the legacy of these folks. It represents the community and what they stand for. It represents the past, the present, the future of all individuals that will serve our community without financial gain. These individuals are here today, I believe, in support of just that. So with that said, you have an opportunity to vote for something that will serve our community for generations. In closing, I'll leave you with the thought of a positive outcome, and I think by the folks standing in this room, as well as Steve, we are all looking for just that. Thank you and have a good night.
Mr. Hoffman, may I please address you? I would just like to make one statement. I think we have really deviated from the original content. At no point did any one of us say we were against the park. All we said was we wanted to be communicated with and brought in detail. And as Jackie Kasevich had said, we just wanted to be involved in all the planning to make sure what the village needs are. My husband is a 56-year volunteer fireman, and his name is at that park. So I most certainly do revere everything that our fire department does. And for all the years I have and stood behind all of them. But, so we're not against it. All we want to do is sit down, come together, talk about it, and see what we can come up with together to make sure what the other needs are. And if there are no other needs, then the money is there. So.
I'd like to respond if I can.
Thank you.
What I heard last month was a lack of leadership. I'm new. I don't know. I need to review. Audrey, I know you've been part of this village for a long time. I know your husband's name is there. To be surprised by this surprises me that you were not aware.
That it was what?
That you were not aware and did not have detail.
I never
You're
said
too
I
involved in the community not to
I
know
never
that.
said I didn't have detail.
So,
I was not one that said that.
But we haven't sat down with the department heads and said, what are our current needs? If we have compressors that go tomorrow at the ice rink, where are we coming up with this money? In a time of a pandemic, we have to make sure. The supervisor of Cheektowaga said it beautifully the other day. She said, with this money, I'm going to make sure that I do not have a tax increase. Because during a time of a pandemic, I can't do that to my people. So we need to sit down. Yes, we are all for this, but we need to make sure first, are there any unaccounted for things that we're not foreseeing? Because I would feel terrible if I say yes to this, tomorrow the compressors go, and now I have to raise taxes during a pandemic. So all we want to know is, are there any things that we need to be looking at before we make $1 million decision?
I agree that there's line items in there that need to be reviewed. I do large budgets.
That's what, we're for this, but we need to review every department and make sure, are we foreseeing everything? Because again, I look back to 4,625 families. Is somebody going to have to go without because of a decision I made prematurely? Is somebody going to have to move because they can no longer afford our taxes here? That's something I truly hold in my heart, and I take pride in the fact that I will research and do everything I can before I just make a decision like this on such a big number.
May I respond?
Of course,
I'll respond in this fashion, in accord to former Mayor Hoffman and Deputy Mayor Snempnick. There's a detailed outline. And surprising that a month has gone by, have you as a group gotten together and reviewed this?
So, and I guess I'm very different. So like when I go detailed outlines, this gives me pictures and dollar amounts. I work for a company and it's what's the benefit? What's the gain? What's the foreseeable negative? Are we going to need heating since we're going to do this year round? If it's not rented, how much is that going to maybe negatively cost us? If we have to have heating, refrigerator, all that stuff, like we need to know all those little details.
May I respond one more?
Please go for it.
I reviewed those line items. I asked a question about three-phase power. That's in there.
But when did I get this? I got this last meeting when I walked in the door. Is that sufficient enough?
But we haven't answered my original question.
Yes.
Prior to this.
Yeah.
Did you get together as a group and review it? You had a month.
So I've offered to meet with anybody. I provided the packet that you met with the, UB study. Said anytime you want to sit down and talk, I am more than willing. I have not received any scheduling requests.
I guess I missed that. When was that email sent?
I can get a date for you.
Please.
I will leave you with this. It goes back to you are leaders of our community. You represent us. People in this room are here for the exact same reason. I'm here. They're here. Former Mayor Hoffman's here, who spent countless time on this. You guys refined it. I don't disagree that this is a step in the right direction, but you have to get together as a team and stop the dysfunctionality.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
All right, I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
All right, so it's time for me to respond a little bit here.
So I responded on where the date you were.
This thing just didn't appear, Trustee Kasevich or Trustee Zimba. Audrey, you've been on.
When did we discuss when the money was going?
Let me finish. I have the floor for a minute.
Please.
Darren, you sat up here 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, said it's the first you've heard of it. How can that possibly be? Yes, you two have been on the board only since April. I'll give you that. Jackie, we sat the first Saturday after you were in my office for what? Seemed like an hour and 45 minutes. The posters, the pictures, the renderings, everything was there. I'm sure I touched on it.
Oh, I know you want to do this project, but we never discussed that this money was going towards. We got the money. The next week it's on the agenda. Like, we should have sat down as soon as you said, we got the money. Let's discuss this. Let's make sure that we are doing what's best for our village.
Okay,
we never
so-
as a team discussed it.
You know what? That's fine. You got that, your feeling on that. Have you ever come and asked me anything about that?
The last time I asked about a DPW hire, you declined to meet with me. That's the last time I tried to meet with you.
We're going on another topic. I want to stay on this one for now.
Correct, but that's what.
But you've not come to me. Darren's not come to me. Audrey, you sat there when I drove around in July 4th with you, and you gave me your blessing on it.
I did.
Yes, you did. That's why you were asked to second it that night. This is not something that came out of the blue or just thought about. Erica, you engaged UB people. We did much of this before you were here, obviously. And if you need to know, ask. Why doesn't anybody ask?
But why wouldn't we have a meeting for it? We got the American Rescue Funds. Let's have a meeting. So how I said, let's have working meetings so we can discuss stuff. Because the only time you asked me my opinion on the American Rescue Funds money was the last week or last meeting before we came. You said, are we going to have a problem with this? That's the only time
That
you
is
ever
not
asked
the
me
only
my
time,
opinion.
because Trustee Zimba brought to me his proposal, and that was in July.
But I guess then when was I ever asked my opinion of, we received the money? Do
It
you have
was
any idea?
open to anybody on the board, correct?
I didn't.
Did we not make
Mayor
that
Peterson,
statement?
I emailed you, okay? I knew about it 3 weeks before you put it on the agenda. What I referenced that I didn't know anything about was the document that was handed to me as I came into the meeting,
Yeah.
okay?
Even at the very least, the 2 weeks before that meeting was when we sat here and voted on a public hearing of it. And there was still nothing asked. I don't feel I need to go out and sell that. Come and ask me the question. I'm here quite a bit during the week. even though I have a regular job, just like you, just like you, just like you. We all have other jobs. We all have other responsibilities. And Audrey, even though you're not working, you're busy as hell, all right, doing your charity stuff. So everybody is busy, and everybody has to make some time for it. Open meeting laws changed the way you handle it. It's very difficult to do. We added the half hour on here for today, and even still, we were 1 or 2 minutes late coming into this meeting. Anybody else with comments? It's mayor's night in the village.
Bob Kasavich, 57 Middlesex Road, Depew, New York. I think what I'm hearing here is not that any, let me first start by saying congratulations to all the firemen who received the awards, and thank you to all of you for the nice job you did for us. I think what we're hearing here is not so much that people are against the project. I think we're talking about information, spreading information, everybody working together so that they know it. And I think what I heard when Mr. Hoffman stood up and said, I met with Mayor Peterson and the deputy mayor in Fireman's Park. Where were the other 3 board members? Were they invited? Were they included? They were not.
You know you can't do that.
Due to open meeting law, and he proactively reached out to us.
Was it a meeting? They can't walk around the park and look at the park? That's what it was.
I don't like to blur the lines personally. I mean, I'm more than happy to sit down with anybody, Jackie, Darren, Audrey, and go over everything, and we can even add it to our agenda for a pre-board meeting. Mr. Hoffman reached out to me personally and asked if I would be willing to meet with him, so I said, absolutely. I'm more than willing to talk about the project. So that's how that meeting's set up.
We're reminded pretty constantly about open meeting laws from the attorney. Correct?
That is true. I discourage board members from being together with anyone more than 2 of them at a time, because if they discuss official business, it has to be a public meeting. They have to keep a record. So.
Walking around the park, just...
Oh, especially if they're
we sat in the gazebo, Bob.
Park.
We didn't take tours.
All right, another quick question. We lost an assessment challenge. How much was that for? A couple $100,000?
To what?
Right, so that was about $229,000. The case started in 2014. No one in the village put in a notice of appearance. Continued year after year after year, and then they issued a consent order, which they commonly do, which provides for future tax relief. But in this one, somehow, they negotiated a significant refund from the town of Cheektowaga. This was the Urbandale Plaza over on George Urban. So it's a huge plaza fighting for 6-7 years, ended up a surprise payout. And that's why we're being proactive to make sure we appear in all of these things.
Who represented us in those?
No one. No one represents the villages in any of these cases throughout Western New York, because villages have no say. It's the assessor of the town of Cheektowaga and assessor of the town of Lancaster and their attorneys who drive the case. And typically, maybe there's a tax refund in the future, maybe there's not. Here, there was an actual payout of a retroactive refund, which is rare.
Do we have any plans to participate with? I mean,
Yes.
we have no say, but I believe we should be participating.
No, yeah, as a part-time village attorney, I am taking it on and appearing in, I think, 16 pending tax assessment challenges, which likely won't pay out refunds, but I have that experience and I'm jumping right in to make sure it doesn't happen again. That's a great question. And it just doesn't happen. I don't think Terry's ever paid a refund. So.
Now, Urbandale Plaza, if I remember right, has got 2 owners. Was everybody included in the
So there's
order?
right, very knowledgeable. There's one owner who owns the parcel, and then there's a separate parking lot. The parking lot was separate. They actually owed taxes, which Tony pointed out, and
good job.
But they were completely separate.
All right, another question. The rink. How old are the compressors in the rink? I heard you say that they're in great shape. How old are they? Are they original compressors?
Mm-hmm.
And the piping underneath is original too?
Yeah.
If we had to replace those today, do you have any inkling of what it might cost us?
Yeah, one compressor's $130,000.
And what about the piping underneath the?
I'm not sure about that.
I mean, those. I hear spending the money on this building and everything in the first phase. You get a second phase of funding, right? Do you have anything set for
Second
that.
phase that was put in was for the walkways, the resurfacing of
That's the second phase of the project. I'm saying the second round of money you're going to get from the American Rescue Funds.
760,000? Well, I'd like to help out Audrey and her cause here across the street. I think it's only fair that the Village of Depew has something to do with that.
So we haven't, you don't have anything set for that? That's not fireman's
No,
park
but
money?
it could very well be because we have to pay 50% of the $700,000 in that CFA grant.
Okay.
So $700,000 is what the grant was submitted for July 26, which brings the park up to where it was when it was first developed. I'm not even talking about splash pad instead of the wading pool. I'm not talking about the $820,000 that was going to improve the ice rink, including the locker rooms and the expansion on the front of that. Those are just too far out in advance. There's too much money there. Yes, you're right about, we do.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right with the compressor question, but that's not money this can be used for.
No, but you're utilizing it on something else, and when this goes, we're going to need to come up with money. So there are projects out there that could utilize it.
Oh, without a doubt. So actually,
So have we quizzed the department heads as to their needs, maybe 5 years going forward? Do they have any capital needs that might be, this may be used for? And I'm not talking, again, the park project beginning is great, but the second round of funding, have you gone through with the department heads and say, hey, are you going to need a new fire truck? Is Ken going to need new trucks?
Can't use it for that.
There are actual guidelines in this interim rule that spell out what it can and cannot be used for. And I invite everyone to do their research because I've read it. I've read if you don't feel like 142 document, fine. There's FAQ. So while we would like to help the departments, we can't get a new plow truck for
Okay,
Ken.
well, I read it too, and it seemed to allude, in fact, Erie County is doing that, utilizing it for sewer funding, for sewer renovation. And then we do have,
That is one of the 4 major things that you can do without doing anything. You can do the sewer, the water, and the internet.
right, major infrastructure things. And aren't we under a consent order for our sewer?
Exactly, and what was our research on that? And that it can't be for an existing project, it could be for a future.
Something has not yet been funded.
Okay, and
So
we have,
it could very well be used for that next year, yes. But
I just encourage the board to, yes, you can't get together, but if you advertise your meeting or your pre-board meeting there, to talk, to disseminate information. You said, come to you. If you're trying to sell something to them, you want them to spend the money on this, you need to prove to them why it should be. They shouldn't have to come chase you. They should have to, when I do a proposal to my boss, I don't say, geez, here's my proposal. If you want any information, go find it. No, I present to him what I need to do to make the project a viable project. You should be presenting to the whole board what you have, why you want to do it, and all of those things. And I'm sure when all of that's done, like I say, you've got 2 new board members. You say they should have known it. They haven't been here that long. They're trying to absorb a whole lot of information. Information that, little things, but there's a lot of them, and you know that very well. There's a lot to learn when you work on the board. And I think you should take it upon yourself to give them as much information as possible. And I think if you do that, going forward, I think you're going to find you can work together very well. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Paul Sprotta.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Paul Sprotter, 58 Argus, Depew. I'll make this brief. I like all the talk that I've heard so far from both Steve and Bobby and the other Steve. The word that everybody has to penetrate into their cranium is communication. That's the key to probably everything that goes on in this village. I'd like to see more communication. And perhaps with this proposal of replacing that building in Fireman's Park. I think it's a great idea. Should have been done a long time ago. It's been neglected over the years. It's an old building. We have an opportunity to put up a new building for virtually nothing. I think that a committee should be formed by either board members or non-board members to decide if this is the right thing to do. I don't like to see dissension in any government or private organization. I guess I'll let it go at that. I want to thank the recreation director. I pointed out a defect at Fireman's Park, and he stopped at my house and told me that it's been corrected. I don't think anybody likes to see children get hurt. That was a potential hazard. He corrected it, and I thank him for that. That's about all I have to say on it. Communication, please, get together, get your heads together, write things down, make proposals, give and take. People have to compromise. Let's do something with this opportunity that we have. Let's not let it go by. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, sir. Assistant Chief John Gothier.
John Gothier, 42 Dartmouth. Been in the village 25 years. I love this village. Nowhere else I'd rather live. To sit here and listen to everybody want the same thing, and to hear you guys fight the way you do is unacceptable to me. There's so much more to life than fighting over something that you all want the same of. Every day we look at the news and everything else. We see our federal government in disarray from the president all the way down through Senate and Congress, and we're looking the same way. That irks me beyond belief. Swallow your pride, put your heads together, and figure out what you got to do to make this village what it could be and what it should be. Thank you.
Anyone want to follow Assistant Chief Gothier?
Yeah, I will. Past Chief Gary Cummings, 44 Cowling Street, Village of Lancaster, Depew mailing. I do own property on Terrace Boulevard, which is on the way to Fireman's Park. I will tell you, I've had numerous family reunions in that park, and they ceased just because I got comments back after the first couple that how nice it was. Then, man, we got to use that titter over there, the bathroom. They said it's terrible. You go in there, you got a piano wall. The women's John was really not up to snuff. I'm sorry. When I heard that we were going to put in new buildings, they were going to be something like Westwood Park, I said, great, I'm going to bring the family back. They love this park and Fireman's. I just was disheartened to hear that people are against it. I don't know why. It's a beautiful park. It needs to be updated. I remember when Steve was in, we talked about putting the pathways in there, the bike paths. Where did it ever go? It never came. It's like, and that was 10 years ago, at least. So, I mean, I'm just going to say, I may be moving back to Depew, who knows? But, the Fireman's Park was a big part of my family reunion. My mother-in-law's 80th birthday party was held there. She was in a wheelchair. She could go from A to B, car to the building, and that was it. She had trouble getting into the restroom. So I'm just saying, when I heard this, it's going to be great. Great for my mother-in-law. Hope she lives to be 95. We'll get her back there. But, please, get your stuff together. Let's work it out. It's only going to be for the better of Depew. And I mean, right now, I do love Veterans Park. We've had good concerts there. the fire department should be able to go to their own park and have a nice party like we did 20-some years ago, right in that park. Right now, we go to the fire hall, and we're hidden in the corner, not to be nasty, but it's just, you know where it is? Brewster, we're in the back corner. Back there, people used to see the fire department enjoy their park once a year. So, thank you for your time. Please, get it together.
Anybody?
I got something to say.
Mr. Broads. Canton Street, 332? What's the address on Canton, 332?
332 Canton Street, Todd Broads. In 1961, I was there when they built that park. Okay? That park was originally Fireman's Park. You don't know it, but that used to be carnivals in the summer. By the stone in front, there used to be the big Ferris wheel. All the way down, there was all kinds of rides for the kids. You used to go all the way around. And matter of fact, the house next door was my grandmother's. And I learned to drive a car in that park when I was only 16 years old. And for it to be nothing done in as many years, the reason why that long building was there, it was for the firemen and when they had their beer tent. And now times have changed, and I think the park should change to match the people and the kids that go there. So a little kid just learning to go to the bathroom don't have to stand there and pee on a wall with 5 big guys. You know? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Go to number 16 on the agenda, claims and accounts.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, the claims and accounts have been audited by the Finance Committee and are approved for payment as follows.
In the general fund, $236,969.15. In the sewer fund, $992.60. In the capital building renovation, $18,319.75.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And the adjournment tonight.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make a motion that we close the meeting and all those that perished on 9/11 from their efforts of the day of the event, and also in remembrance of the firefighters that we lost this year as well.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And we have